to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam, and today we're going to be talking about The Claws of Axos by Bob Baker and David Martin, directed by Michael Ferguson. This 4-part adventure is highly appreciated in the Doctor Who fan base. It is considered by far one of, if not the one of the best Doctor Who stories, and probably one of the best Third Doctor stories in the show. And it is hard not to get caught up in all of it. It is a fantastically written story. 4 parts. You got Joe Grant, you got the Master, you got the Axons, and it's strange because this was a very popular story even back when it was first shown. And what's strange about it is that the Axons never became a recurring villain. They had a brilliant kind of premise, they had a brilliant first story, but we never saw them again. It's very bizarre. But anyway, I digress. Let's get into the actual story. Our first shots are really cool. We get to see the Axon ship, this kind of like, I don't know, it looks like a kidney. Come down and crash onto Earth. And whilst this is going on, then we get the Brigadier talking to like the head of like British security, Mr. Chins. This guy, he's one of those characters you just love to hate. He's a self-opinionated buffoon who is basically one of the main antagonists of this story. So, you know, he is a very memorable character. He's basically a cliched British politician character, but it really works here as the story plays into themes about human greed and all like the selfishness of human pride and stuff. And the story really plays into that as the Doctor with the Brigadier and Mr. Chins and these other characters. Well, when we first see them, they're talking about the Master and how he's basically become like a British security risk, so he's become sort of like British #1 criminal in a sense, which makes the Master seem really dangerous in this story. Though when we first see him, it's pretty. Let me get back into the story. The Doctor and the Brigadier are sent to investigate the Axon ship, and the first idea was to destroy it, to send missiles to it. Well, the Doctor doesn't. The Doctor doesn't want to destroy it. Mr. Chin sends a missile to it, basically setting up that his character basically acts first, thinks about consequences later kind of attitude. It really sets his character up very well, but the missile doesn't work, it just sort of disappears in midair. Whether this was due to a fault or by Axos' defense systems, we don't know. But anyway, so they go in to investigate and they find that there's a plea for help, and the Axons asking for human help. And so they go onto the ship. But before that, we have another character who's in the scene prior, this American guy who goes into the ship first, and he gets captured, and his cellmate is the Master. He just appears in the prison by themselves, and it's absolutely hilarious how he just sort of turns up in this story. I do apologise if you can hear that. Calm down a bit. So, I really like the Master's introduction here. At this point, he's been in 4 stories. So, I like how he just kind of abruptly shows up. There's no tease, there's no build up to his appearance. He just sort of turns up into the story. And we find out that he had his TARDIS working, and he left Earth, and he landed on the Axon ship who took him prisoner, and he told them about Earth, so they're sent down to Earth. but our main characters don't know this. The Axons make a deal with humanity that basically their energy for their ship, which is completely organic, the energy is started to deplete, and so they need to refuel on Earth. And in exchange, they will give them this material called axonite. And what it will do, it will make, basically, it can do anything. It can make double energy supply. It can make animals grow or shrink. It can basically increase energy. And this is at this point, the Doctor kind of suspects foul play. As you can see that the Doctor's kind of like questioning. It's like, hold on, you have this device, but yet you can't use it to save your planet, because they give up a backstory about their planet being destroyed. And there's this whole like debate going on. So it's a very heavily political story, and it plays about with human greed, as Mr. Chin basically wants to keep this axonite to himself and to the British public. But the Axons are imperative that this stuff goes worldwide. And the Doctor's kind of like caught in between on whether, because they are villains, don't get the story wrong, but knowing that the human greed factor into it, you know, because before this point he's like 50-50, so he's kind of like, to Mr. Chin, it's like, you are greedy bugger because you're keeping that all to yourselves and the British. You don't have a duty to the world, basically, that kind of a question. And then you've got him with the axonites, and it's kind of like, hold on, if you had all this equipment, you couldn't save yourselves? Something sounds a bit dodgy there. And so we get mostly 2 or 3 episodes of this, and it really works well with the script. And when we get into the Master, he comes out and he starts setting a scheme to get the Doctor's TARDIS, because the Axons have taken his ship. And so the Master just basically plans to take the Doctor's ship, leave Earth, and then just leave Earth to its doom. And then about episode 3 or episode 4, I can't remember, something really interesting happens. The Doctor makes a bargain with the Master to fix the TARDIS, his TARDIS materialization circuits. In return, they too will just leave Earth to the Axons. And, you know, as an audience member, we know that the Doctor isn't going to betray Earth. But the conviction of John Pertwee really sells it. And it also, it's good enough that we can believe that all the characters would be like, right, the Doctor has betrayed us. But it's still lovable enough that we are kind of like, right, okay, the Doctor is basically coming up with a plan. And so he does, as he gets the Master to fix his TARDIS, so now the TARDIS can work. Also, forgot to mention, this is the first story in the Pertwee area to show the inside of the TARDIS. So we get to see the TARDIS in colour for the first time. It seems really small in this story. I don't know if they had trouble with the set or something. Something about it just doesn't seem right. It seems a bit battered, a bit small. And for some reason they've removed the TV and they've put it as one of the rounders on the wall, which I think looks really cool, and I would think they should have kept it like that. But later stories would have it back on the small TV. So there you go. And so the Doctor gets the TARDIS working, and there's a brilliant scene where the Doctor's like mucking around with the controls with the Master as they're trying to get away, and the Master kind of like turns around to look at the screen, and whilst he does that, the Doctor's moving all the control bits behind his back, so that you can clearly see that he's playing with the Master. And then the Doctor then lands it on the ship, on the Axon ship, and traps it in a time loop. But before he could activate it, the Master goes into his own TARDIS and warns the Axons that the Doctor basically is going to betray them so he can protect the Earth on a suicide mission. and we get a great scene of the Doctor basically being held in the TARDIS, being trapped forevermore until he can break out of the time loop, and so he lands back on Earth. And that's basically the ending of our story. And it has one of the greatest, funniest last lines in the show's history. Am I going to spoil it here? No, I'm not going to spoil it for you. You'll have to watch the story for yourselves. Fantastically written story. So there you go, that's the close of Axons. One of the best stories in the show's history. 4 parts of just pure great written stuff. And Michael Ferguson's directing, especially inside the Axon ship, is just it's great. You know, it's just great. It also has some pretty cool, memorable cliffhangers, with I think the most memorable one being part 4, I believe, with the Doctor and Joe in the Axon ship, and the Master makes a deal with UNIT and to help them, and then the Master basically sets the Axon ship to basically explode with the Doctor and Joe in it, and the Brigadier's like, hold on a minute, you can't do that, and the Master says something along the lines of, it's either the Axons destroy we, or we destroy the Axons. What is it to me, Brigadier? So, yeah, great moment. So, there you go, Axons. This video is probably going to be really short, but what can I say? It's just a fantastically written story. So, highly recommend it. Probably one of the most necessary Doctor Who watches if you want to get into the 60s John Pertwee era. And it's only 4 episodes long, which is really short for a third Doctor story. So highly check it out. So join me next time where the Doctor, now having his TARDIS working, has our first outer space adventure. So join us next time for The Colony in Space. See you next time on the Doctor Who Marathon. See you then.